welcome you all with love. And here we are at Cousens Commentaries, and we are going to share a little bit of thinking about how we can live in a way that makes everything sacred. So it's a different way of thinking, and it's a different level of politics. It's really a spiritual understanding to everyday life. But first we're going to start with a little dance for a minute and a half, and I invite you all to dance with me. Okay, welcome everybody. I welcome you all with love and thank you for attending and taking the time to watch this Cousens commentary. So, what are we commenting on today? And what we're commenting on is how in a world that is making things really, really difficult in many, many ways, how can we turn our world into a sacred space? First of all, it's a different way of thinking about it. How we turn our world into making everything holy. So the answer is first feeling that holiness within ourselves. Feeling that we are a sacred space. And how do people do that? There are different ways. One is eating in a way that you feel you're a superconductor of the divine, which is eating 100% vegan and 80% live food diet, and then doing things to build your life force energy so it increases that sense of holiness. Reiki, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, service and charity, working with a spiritual group or a spiritual teacher, meditating, repeating the divine name, and supporting the spiritual energy known as Kundalini in the yogic world and the Ruach Kodesh in the biblical world. So these are ways that work. Also, sacred relationship is another way where we start to create holiness in the relationship and holiness in everything we do. In yogic terms, we may call it a tantric way of life. It's a way where we see it all as divine, where we actually see it, we actually feel it, and we actually relate to it as an aspect of the divine. It changes their whole perception. And we say, what about the bad things that happen? Well, whatever God does is for the best is kind of the way we answer that, but we don't know And we can think of the worst things going on, but then what's the end product may be something fantastic. So part of doing this is seeing the world not through an eyes of judgment, but through the eyes of honoring the sacred in all of life, and beginning to design our life so we create the space to feel and see the sacred. You know, what does happen is if we get so busy, we don't have time to feel and experience the sacred in all the things that are going on. So yes, we do need to control our time and space, so we actually create the space to be able to appreciate the sacred in all there is. And that doesn't mean we kind of like stay in meditation all day. I mean, just sit and meditate. That's not what I mean. It means slowing down enough, which is actually in milliseconds, for us to appreciate the sacredness in our own life. That's the real mystery of how to do it. But first, through meditation, through the things I've mentioned, we begin to see the sacredness in ourselves. It's very difficult to see the sacredness in other things when indeed we don't see the sacredness and we don't feel the sacredness in ourselves. So that's a starting point. And for many people, that's hard because our program is, well, we're not so sacred. We're not so good. And the world is as you see it. The world is as you believe it to be. Well, if we start believing we are good, that we're believing that we're sacred in all that we're doing, it begins to change the way we experience ourselves and the world. So this is a worldview shift. And then we begin to see the sacred in all things. And again, it's a lot easier when you see a beautiful flower or, a beautiful nature scene or a beautiful picture. Obviously, that's a lot easier. Or you see acts of kindness in different ways for people doing. That's easy. And that's a great place to start. So you don't have to get it all at once. Start simple. Start with what we can easily do. And then we began to see the holiness in all that's going on, even though it may not superficially look holy. And we begin to see the kind of the inner energies of what's going on and the inner pain of what's going on for people, and see through it. See to the deeper quality of that person, even though they may not see it. If you see that light in them, it makes it easier for them to begin seeing and feeling the light in themselves. So our role is a role that we can play is by seeing the sacred in all creation. Even this microphone, sacred because it's doing a sacred job right now. But not just its job, it's part of creation. It says, in a sense, God's in everything. The microphone just said that through, I just said that through the microphone. It's carrying that vibration. Okay, we can do that. And we can experience that level in all that we do, no matter how mundane it may seem. And that's the medicine that's healing. We can see the glass half full or half empty. That's the old metaphor of seeing it. But when we really see and feel our own sacredness, and maybe it takes time. Maybe you go from, I'm so dark, how can I possibly feel sacred or good about myself? a little bit each day where you kind of activate that energy within yourself, it grows because it's there already. But your awareness, your experience of it is what grows. And that's the really exciting thing about it. So that's kind of what the teaching is. And then how we interact with those around us is a way of expressing the sacredness. And you've heard, most people have heard that when somebody's really nice to you, you turn around and be nice to somebody else, and suddenly we have a wave of sweetness and niceness, passing through the environment. That's a very common thing. And so, wow, that's really good. So that's the simple message. It's the world is as you see it, the world is as you perceive it to be, and your perception is affected by your perception of yourself. So the more you feel your own holiness in a good and humble way, the more you're able to see it in other people and inspire other people to feel their own sacredness and holiness. And then it spreads. Not just about other people, but with animals and really all that we do in the world. So may everyone be blessed that we are able to perceive this in all that we do and bring the sacredness that we find in ourselves, because it is there, bring it to the rest of the world. Now, we have a bunch of things that we do that help that. We have a world peace meditation on each equinox and solstice. And so the world peace meditation is actually every Sunday evening, 6:30 p.m. Israel time. And we also have a equinox and solstice meditation, depending when you may be seeing this, like that's December 21st, March 21st, June 21st, okay? And in September, so there's four times. And that's another time we gather for meditating and creating a frequency of peace. So there are lots of opportunities for us to really amplify that sacredness and that holiness within ourselves by doing actions, by doing these good things that elevate consciousness. Okay, now on top of that, as you may know, that we have a spiritual fast coming up on May 26th in the Dominican Republic, and you just kind of go to Dr. Cousens spiritualfast.com and you can feel about it. When people fast, it's way easier to experience their own holiness and own sacredness, because we're slowing down, because we're fasting kind of in a location that's conducive to that. We're meditating several times a day, and we're doing the yoga, and it's easy to begin experiencing your own goodness and holiness. So why is that important? Because it's a starting place where you can begin to experience the divine truth, light, and love, and peace, the divine song of who you are. Once you get that door opens to that awareness, then it can begin to grow. So we have really 2 fasting retreats a year. But this is the next one that we're doing. So you're all invited to that, as well as our ongoing workshops, usually on Monday, which is spiritual nutrition, at 5:30 Israel time, 5:30 to 6:30, where we answer spiritual nutrition questions, and then at 7 to 8:30, where we have meditation both times, but we have a longer discussion of what we call Alive and Liberated with Dr. Gable. So those are a lot of opportunities, and then you can just go to treeoflife.mn.co to kind of check out all the other activities. So we invite you to all of that, and may everyone be blessed that we begin to open our eyes to the light and love and holiness and sacredness that is within us and without. Peace be with us. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. O Mentakulasan. And I want to thank Doug for producing this. Aho.